Alright, how you guys doing today? We about to hop into a little reaction. First things first though, make sure you like that video, hit a little exit full screen, scroll a bit, like it, and then full screen it back up. You feel me? So my associate sent me this video and was like, this makes a lot of sense, right? And talking about biology and a whole bunch of stuff. So I sent it to my biologist, not biologist friend, but friend who's a biology major and also kind of like has practiced pantheism, right? My other friends, when I say pantheists, they just like, I pick and choose whatever. This guy has actually practiced pantheism, like his parents were into that, and he's a biology major now and is skeptical to the whole thing of God. He's a self-proclaiming agnostic. So I sent him this video that was sent to me by my associate, who is a not proclaimed pantheist, but like pantheist ideals. So check out the video. We'll get into the breakdown.
The human nervous system upside down, it looks like a tree growing out of a seed, bearing the fruit of the heart, which looks suspiciously like a piece of fruit hanging in a tree. That tree growing out of the seed also supports the fruit of the spirit, and the cycle of the seed looks suspiciously like the parable of the sower. 12 pair of cranial nerves to edify the body, controlled by the mind. 12 disciples sent out in pairs to edify the body, controlled by the head. 12 disciples with one removed. 12 tribes with one removed. Adam's 12 pair of ribs with one removed to make Eve. Jesus pierced in his side to bring the church to life. Are you starting to see it? I often wonder why God made me a medical doctor. And then I start to see the gospel in the anatomy and physiology of our bodies, and it all starts to make sense. Allow me to elaborate. If the husband is the head and the wife is the body, then the husband is the brain and the wife is the heart. And so the husband is responsible for thinking, taste, touch, sight, smell, and hearing, and the wife is responsible for feeling, following the brain, and doing. All you have to do is study the central and peripheral nervous systems, and then the somatic and autonomic nervous systems, and you will know exactly how your marriage is supposed to be structured, and why you guys can't get along for the life of you. It's the heart arguing with the mind, the rod arguing with the staff, the law arguing with grace, the circulatory system arguing with the nervous system. Is it possible that we are complementary systems?
So I send him that video and I say, thoughts? Question mark, right? He sends me back 2 words: Apophenia and Pareidolia, right? So I have those kind of pulled up. I'm gonna watch this little video as well to help explain. He also sent me this little infographic. Apophenia is when the brain sees patterns or connections in random things. Example, when looking at the clouds, you spot what appears to be the shape of a heart. You might interpret this as a sign of love in the air, even though it's a random arrangement of clouds. Pareidolia is seeing faces or familiar shapes and things that don't really have them. Example, you look at a rock formation and it seems to resemble the profile of a famous person or an animal. So there's a little video on it. Go check it out.
Our brains are always looking for patterns in the information they take in from the outside world, and using any patterns they find as a basis for the decisions we make. Unfortunately, this pattern-seeking urge of the brain can mislead us, especially when the information in fact is random. Apophenia is the tendency to make sense of and connect things that in reality are unrelated. A famous example is the gambler's fallacy. For example, some people play the lottery with certain numbers simply because these numbers have turned up more frequently in past draws. But in the next draw, all the numbers have an equal probability of occurring. Just because a number has come out more often in the past doesn't mean it has a better chance in the next draw. It's a classic case of apophenia, in which we try to connect outcomes that are in truth independent. Pareidolia is a type of apophenia in which people think they see or hear familiar things in what are actually random sights and sounds. Common examples of this are seeing animal shapes in clouds or faces in a piece of toast or the grain of wood. A well-publicized example of pareidolia was the image of a face that people thought they could see in photos of the surface of Mars, taken by the Viking 1 orbiter in 1976. It started a debate in the popular media about whether the face had been built by intelligent Martians. In higher resolution images taken later on though, the face was seen to be an illusion caused by a random assortment of landforms. Another example of pareidolia occurred in Singapore in 2007. A monkey shape was seen in the trunk of a tree, which some people believed was an image of divine origin. Crowds started to gather, and gifts were left at the tree in the hope that it would bring good luck from the monkey god. Pareidolia is a phenomenon that can also arise from sounds. Sometimes people believe they can detect hidden messages in music or other sounds, when in fact there's no message there at all. From the canals of Mars to images of religious figures in rocks or cinnamon buns, our brains are prone to seeing, hearing and believing things that aren't really there. Pattern recognition is an important survival trait, but we need to be aware that it can also lead us astray.
So he's trying to take the point of, all the human body type stuff that you just related to the whole gospel. Chance. Right? Am I tripping? No. This is where it gets funny. What about evolution? What about looking at monkeys and looking at us in our build and saying, there's gotta be a link there. They're too similar. Like, bruh, if I give you a pickle and a cucumber, they're two different... Yes, they may come from the same thing, but right, they're still two different things. Regardless, that was a bad example because they do come from the same thing. Say I bake a cake, cover it in frosting. Say I get a rock, perfectly cylindrical, cover it in frosting. You're looking at both like, oh my gosh, they look so similar. They must have the same origin cut inside. And then you're like, oh, they're two very distinctly different things. You're not going to go out and try to find what's the link between cake and rocks. Right? You're just going to accept one's a cake, one's a rock, one's a human, one's a monkey. They're so different. And oh my gosh, I put this on my Snapchat story the other day because I was walking through this branch of building where one of my classrooms is, and they had some of the most egregious evolutionary examples I'd ever seen in my life. This was actually bad. It was the most AI photographed picture of a half human, half monkey hybrid next to a black dude. And it just screamed racism, bro. Just screamed it. Because the origins of evolution is racism. Well, not the origins, but, it evolved into racism. And, it's next to some monkey bones, whatever. And it's like, bro, you're so behind. We're two distinctly different creatures. And if y'all can't see that, and you want to know how I know? But yeah, because they like to hit on astrology, right? But astrology's got the same amount of basis. Well, I don't want to say the same amount of basis, right? Evolution be making their claims, right? But you know how I know? You know how I know? Boom. Answers in Genesis Canada. At Answers Canada, you already knew where we was going. This is not complicated. They don't want you to see this. Come on now. When I tell you, bro, dinosaurs on the ark, evolutionists can't explain it. Sorry, evolutionists, blah, blah, blah. Boom. Like, come on, bro. Y'all be apocryphalian, whatever the words are, more than us. We have basis and logic. All right, that's going to be the end of the video. Hope you guys have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.